Hello, I'm Nancy Herkness. I'm here for Writer Unedited number 46, where I just sit at my writing desk and chat about whatever crosses my feeble brain. And my brain is particularly feeble these days. And I'll explain why. So if you miss a Writer Unedited, you can always find them on my YouTube channel, and I will put the link in the comments when this is all over. So it's hot. I imagine it's probably hot where you are too. And I've decided that my new hero is Willis Carrier. Who, you might ask, is Willis Carrier? Well, he is credited with inventing modern air conditioning. So I pretty much couldn't survive without that these days. So I'm a big fan of Willis's. I hope he was a good person in his life, but he certainly has benefited all of us who are in the middle of a sweltering heat wave. And I'm even more grateful for it because my back patio is under construction, and the poor guys who are laboring out there are just, they must lose gallons of moisture from their bodies through sweat. I am always shoving cold water on them, which I'm sure they're tired of me walking out going, here, have some more cold water. But I just feel terrible for them. I also feel terrible for myself because they've been using jackhammers for the last 2 days, and as a result I have a splitting headache and I can barely think straight, so excuse me if I'm incoherent on this. And I've done no writing because by the time they finally knock off for the day, I have such a bad headache I can't deal with it. And the cats, there's Skoda sitting in the on the cat tree by the window. See the lump there? That's actually Skoda. They've just retreated. I mean, Skoda's here. We're on pretty much the opposite corner of the house from where all the noise is. I can't even find Moby most of the time. I don't know where he's figured out to hide. I think he goes upstairs somewhere. And frankly, I can't blame him. I've been popping Tylenol. So why am I doing this whole back patio project? Sometimes I ask myself that. But the truth is, when I moved into the house, I renovated it pretty much from top to bottom on the inside. But I two things. I mostly ran out of funds, and so there was just a cement patio. You've seen pictures of it because that's where I feed the birds. And it had this I like weeping willow trees, but the one out there was trashy, shall we say, and it was just always dropping branches and always getting in my face, and it just wasn't a pretty tree. Well, it's gone now. So I just wanted to make it a prettier space back there, no more cracked cement, and I wanted to make the patio, half the patio, even with the back, walking out the slider of my kitchen. So you could just walk out the slider and be on the same level, because I just find that if you have to walk down a bunch of steps, you don't use it as much. I know that's probably just laziness on my part, but it's true. It's like a mental block almost. So I've tried to get this project done several times in the past when I thought I was going to do a deck, and somehow that, just all sorts of reasons. Number one, it was just incredibly expensive. Nobody wanted to do it. It was during COVID, all that stuff. So finally, I found a great mason who was interested in doing it, and they've been working like crazy outside, but it's so hot and it's so noisy when they're working. They're actually being very quiet right now because I said, can you just give me a break at 2 o'clock? They're also mostly done with the major jackhammering, so that helps. So that's the patio construction. Oh, we also had to redesign the steps coming up from my driveway because turns out the vents from my HVAC unit, which they thought they could just extend, that didn't work, and they can't be moved. So thank goodness I have a wonderful architect who's very creative with solutions, and so we rejiggered the steps, and now they're moving forward again. So all good, I hope. Tomorrow I am going off in the morning in the sweltering heat, unfortunately, to visit nurseries and choose a tree that's essentially going to replace the willow. It's going to be in a slightly different location. And some sky pencil hollies. I love the name of it, sky pencil hollies. To provide a screen at the end of the driveway. Gail, hey Gail, Oh, I'm sorry to miss you too. Bye. Yes, check it out on the YouTube channel. It will be there. I hope. Anyway. What else is going on? So, I can't remember if I told you this last week. It's possible I did. And if so, I apologize. So, I'm very proud of Gabrielle because Royal Kaleva Gabrielle won 3rd place in the National Excellence in Storytelling Contest. And the reason I'm so proud of Gabrielle for that is that he was competing against non-romances as well as romances. And, you know, that's actually kind of hard. That's hard for a book because, as we all know, the media and possibly judges are a little snooty about romance. So I was very pleased that he did so well in the contest. So go Gabrielle. Also, while I'm here and I have Gabrielle in my hand, if you like audiobooks, Gabrielle is on sale in audio right now for $12, reduced from $29.99. I will put a link to that in the comments below also. But the narrator, Nick Mills, is very good with the foreign words, which is always a plus. And in fact, he's the same person who narrated Luis's book. Well, I should say, he started out narrating Gabrielle's, and I asked if he would also do Luis because I knew he could deal with the names. In fact, since I have you here, and you know, here's my favorite graphic for Luis's audio, because I put headphones on him, because sometimes you just have to entertain yourself, right? And I entertain myself with this. Kim's here. Hi, Kim. So good to see you. Okay, this is an experiment. I want to see if I can play a clip from the audio for you from my desktop. So tell me if you can hear this. I hope you can. So here's a sample of, it's the beginning of Luis's book with Nick Mills reading it.
Was here to preside over the annual opening of the new session of the 2 legislative consejos that helped govern Kaleva. He treasured this particular ceremony because each year he used it to set forth his hopes, dreams, and plans for the country he both led and served, the country he loved to the marrow of his bones. This fresh beginning gave him the chance to rise above the daily responsibilities of being the head of state, to express his larger vision for Kaleva, with the goal of inspiring others to join him in it. He glanced around the salon, reserved for royalty when they visited the Palacio de la Ley, the building where the legislature had met for 3 centuries. It was in the oldest part of the original government structure and had rough stone walls, carved wooden beams in the vaulted ceiling, and heavy oak furniture with Kalevan green velvet cushions trimmed in gold. I have your speech here. Bruno held up the black leather folder embossed with the Kalevan coat of arms, as though Luis had been searching for it in his survey of the room. Bruno would place the folder on the podium just before Luis arrived there, so no one could sneak a peek at its contents. Gracias. Luis walked to an ornate gilded mirror to make sure his medals were still neatly lined up on his deep red uniform jacket. He had long ago stopped wearing the crown and cape for this ceremony, but every other embellishment of gold braid and regal embroidery was on display. The royal uniform reminded the members of both councils that Luis's power came from a different source than theirs. They were voted into and out of office at the whim of their public. After the election, Luis would still be king.
So I hope you could hear that. Somebody asked me if I listened to the whole book on audio, and the truth is I do not, because all I do is think, wow, I should have changed that word, or, oh, I should have fixed that, made that sentence structure different, or, so I just criticize all the way through the book, and I can't relax and enjoy it. So, oh, Sally, you could hear it. Great. So glad you could hear the audio. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, so I don't listen to my books, except just little snippets like that to kind of make sure everything sounds good. So just to let you know, if you're interested in listening to Luis, I have 2 free audio codes. So if you just comment audio and in the comments, and I'll get in touch with you and get your email address so I can send you the code. Kim, you got it. I hope you've been listening to it and having fun with it. So I said, just say audio. I'll send you the code. But I do like Louise on headphones. As I said, I have to entertain myself. Kim says he has a good voice. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Kim. I'm glad you like it. I think he has a good voice too. And as I said, he's good with the Spanish and the foreign pronunciations. So that makes me happy. Okay, what else was I going to talk about? Did that. Oh, so wanted to mention, so Susan Carlisle is a fellow author, and I do a Zoom every third Tuesday of the month. And if you're a newsletter subscriber, you get the link in our newsletters, both of our newsletters. And it's the point of having a Zoom as opposed to something like this, the live, is that our audience can talk to us, and that's really fun. So there's active audience participation. And last night, what I like about it is we have sort of a vague script, just like I do here. I sort of have a list of topics that we want to talk about. But we often go off script, as I say. And last night, we started talking about deleted scenes. And I asked Susan what she does with deleted scenes, because I said, I understand readers like deleted scenes, like newsletter subscribers, if you get to read a deleted scene, that it's fun. So, but I have very few. However, I do have one from Luisa's book where the whole family goes on a picnic, and everybody who read it said, it's a lovely scene, but it doesn't need to be there. So I took it out. And I thought, well, maybe that would be a good deleted scene to give to my newsletter subscribers. So tell me in the comments if you like reading deleted scenes, and maybe I'll get organized to do that. So I said to Susan, is that what you do with your scenes? Do you give them to your newsletter subscribers? And she said no. No, she takes them out and puts them in a file of deleted scenes. And her idea, and I love this, she says someday she's going to take all those deleted scenes and turn them into one book. She's just going to put them all together, change all the names and turn them into one book. And I think that's a hilarious idea. I will not do that. I don't have enough generally. But I just love her idea of turning them all into a book at some point. I think that's very funny. Let's see. Kim says she hasn't listened to the book yet. I understand, Kim. It takes time, right? Sally says you need those headphones to block out the construction noise. Oh my goodness, so true. I do have headphones, but they're not noise canceling, but I have thought of wearing them. However, I usually use them just for traveling on an airplane because you all know how much I enjoy flying. Not. So I tend to use them to block out airplane noises, but they're not, I play music on them. They're not actually noise canceling. So, and then the only other topic I had to talk about is what I'm working on now, which is, of course, Raoul's book. Sally Mackenzie and I have been actually emailing about this because I'm having a hard time with Raoul. And I realized the problem is I kind of know who he is now. He bears this incredible burden of guilt because his cousin Gabrielle was kidnapped in his place and then, had his ear mutilated, and things did not go well, obviously. And so Raoul has become something of a workaholic because he essentially is sort of proving that he was worthy of having someone take the hit for him, so to speak. But I realized I don't know who he was before the kidnapping. What was it? What made him happy? What did he love to do? As Sally said, what was his passion before the kidnapping? And that's what I don't know about him. And that's why the book has been really like pulling teeth. So I'm not writing it at the moment. I'm just thinking about it because we all know that a lot of writing is thinking. And I need to think more about Raoul. And I'm making progress on that. And then Sally and I also had a debate about whether Odette should always be the bad guy in every book. And I won't tell you what our decision was, or what our conclusion was, I guess. But it was an interesting discussion, and it's something that you have to think about as a writer, right? This is a series, and Odette has been the villain in the first two books, and I really I'm debating whether she will contribute to the villainy in Raoul's book or not. So I'm not going to tell you whether she is or not, but it is something you have to think about. And the other thing that I was laughing at myself about is, so I originally had this series planned as Gabrielle's book, book 2 would be Louise, book 3 would be Raoul, and book 4 would be Mikhail. But being a pantser, I did not know that Grace would appear in Louise's book. And of course, now my readers are understandably saying, so, are you going to do Grace's book next? And of course, Grace didn't even exist in my mind when I planned the series. But I listen to my readers sometimes. And I think you're right. I think Grace has to be the next book. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah. So that's about it for me. What did Sally got to say? So Kim said he sounded carefree and playful. Exactly, right? But what was underneath that? And, you know, what brought him joy? And yes, I totally agree with you. He sounded carefree and playful and charming. And, you know, he was sort of the golden boy. And I think that's exactly the point. He led a very privileged life. And it's not that he was spoiled, but he didn't understand. He'd been very sheltered from the world, and bad things didn't happen to him or to the people he loved until what happened to Gabrielle, and then, of course, what happened to his dad. So all of a sudden, his worldview has shifted violently, and that has changed him. But what has it changed him from? I know what he is now, but what was he? So it's interesting. Sally says, I'm taking a break from another email, so brace yourself. Oh, Sally, I love your emails. You know that. So that's really all I have to talk about. There will be no live next week because I'm going to the city. And when I say I'm going to the city, that means New York City. When you live in suburban New Jersey, the city is New York. And I'm going to meet a friend. We're going to go to a museum. We're going to have dinner. And we're going to go see Water for Elephants on Broadway, which I'm very excited about because it's gotten fabulous reviews and I loved the book. So I think it'll be a fun day, and it won't have to be anywhere near the patio construction. Although by then there won't be any more jackhammering, of course. It'll be quiet. But, you know, bought the tickets a long time ago. My friend bought the tickets a long time ago. So what are you going to do? Sally says, and you know you don't have to actually read my emails. Reading them is fun. I love reading your emails, and you're very helpful when it comes to writing books, since you write books too. So that's it for me. Does anybody have questions? No? Comments? More comments? Nobody wants audio? Oh, guys, come on. The audiobook is fun. You just heard it. It's good stuff. Oh, good. I did turn it off. Okay, so in that case, I will not see you next week. But I will see you, oh gosh, sorry, Facebook is messing with me. I will see you in 2 weeks. So can't wait until then. Everybody try to stay cool, try to avoid jackhammers, and thank you for coming. Bye.